I think we're used to referring to Jesus as Emmanuel and God with us, an epiphany, a showing forth of the Father. But today's gospel reminds us that he also was the opposite, that he also hid God in human form. Many of you have heard me kind of wander through salvation history, from God coming down in the evening on the Ruach in the Garden of Eden and walking with Adam through the garden, that relationship that never quite got reestablished throughout salvation history until God sent his son, Jesus, once again able to walk with us through the garden, and very revealing of God in human ways, that we didn't have to become mystics, that we didn't need any sort of special spiritual gift to know God, because he laughed and talked, and when he had been walking and working, he smelled like outside, as somebody recently told me, that he never healed the sick through mysticism, but rather he touched them. He stuck his finger in their ear. He made mud with his saliva and wiped it on their eyes. He touched the falling skin from the leper, the sores, and brought healing. That his presence was very tangible to human beings. And yet, and it's important for us to recognize, very few people looked at Jesus and said, "Isn't this incredible that God has become one of us, that God has walked with us?" Most people looked at Jesus and said, as we heard in today's gospel, where does this guy get off acting like he's God's son? And I think this is very relevant for our own experience of Christianity, because maybe sometimes we still look for God in the spectacular, in the mystical, in the spiritual, in the emotional, when he's shown that he will become most concretely present in our lives, in the tangible and the limited, not matching any kind of divine limitation, but matching our human limitation. And so he will come to us sacramentally in a wife or a husband. He will come to us in the gathering of a community that might be more or less emotional or welcoming or interested in having donuts and coffee after Mass. He'll come to us in a meaningful conversation with a friend. He'll come to us in the support and love of a brother or a sister. He'll come to us in sacraments that wash us as real water, that anoint us with an outpouring of God's love, even in the form of oils that nourish us in the human experience of eating and drinking, nourished not by bread and wine, but by the very person of Jesus, his body and blood. I would encourage us this week to not look harder for God in the mystical and the divine, but open our hearts to recognize him more freely in the ordinary and the human and the day-to-day experiences of our lives, to find him where we know his brothers and sisters, where His father is a carpenter, and we know his mother Mary.